Welcome to Dancin Moon Songcast. I'm Scott Simpson, casting from Dancin Moon Studio in Spearfish Canyon on the north end of the Black Hills of South Dakota, right on the banks of the Spearfish Creek. If you'd like to follow along, you can download a free PDF from my lyric book from scottsimpsonmusic.com/lyrics, and of course you can find links to all my music there as well. So let's get casting and find out what song we're going to talk about this time. Well, this is our third episode in a series of 12 episodes that in which we're taking a look at the 12 songs in the new album, Ozzie's Guitar 20 Years Later, and we're listening to each of the original versions of those 12 songs from 2000's Ozzie's Guitar, my first album, and then listening to the new reimagined versions as well. And this episode, we're going to talk about a song called Time. And this song, honestly, in thinking about this one, this is probably the one that has changed the most from its original version to its new version on Ozzie's Guitar 20 Years Later. So it'll be interesting to talk about that, why those changes were made, and give you some perspective, some of my personal perspective on the original version, and then kind of where that went. We'll also, of course, take a look at what inspired the song. This is also a song that's very close to my heart. So we'll be talking about that in just a little bit, taking a look at the lyrics and everything. So we're going to begin the episode, though, by listening to the original version of Time from 2000's Ozzie's Guitar.
In my hometown last night, I hadn't done that in quite a long, long time. There was a full moon and she went behind the clouds. She lit the storm front from behind. I was thinking about the time we said goodbye. The way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time. Then the time ran out on you. I have a friend, he wrote a letter, but had no one to send it to. I wrote a song, but I could sing it so much better. If I could sing my song, if I could sing my song for you. 'Cause I was thinking about the time we said goodbye. The way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time. Yeah. Then the time ran out on you. never see a soul when the winter is on the ground. The houses are hollow and the brick streets are so cold. Some nights are lost, never to be found again. I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, the way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time. Then the time ran out on time ran out on you.
So that was Time from 2000's Ozzie's guitar. Before we get into the inspiration and the writing of the song, I'll just talk a little bit about this version of the song. I've been frank when asked about it. I was never happy with the way this song came out in that original version. I don't dislike the song. In fact, probably part of the reason I'm was unhappy with it is because I had such a high expectation for the song. And so when I finished the album, and of course this was my first album, I was just figuring things out, and so there was also a higher level of me just kind of saying, well, maybe that's about as good as I can get it. But I was not especially happy with the sound that I got off. It's primarily an acoustic 6-string guitar, both the main guitar as well as the kind of the lead that comes in incidentally here and there. And I did have a couple of friends at the time who were listening to versions and giving me a little bit of feedback and that sort of thing about the songs. And this may have had some sway on me. This was one that they felt was probably not doing what I wanted it to do. They were both very positive about the harmonica. So anyway, so that was great. I kind of felt like, well, I did some good harmonica stuff in that. But this song that was very, very important to me, very deep, maybe I had the bar too high. Maybe I don't know, I was trying too hard. But sometimes I think maybe as an artist, if the stakes are really high for a particular thing you're working on, that may be somewhat counterproductive. It may be that you need a little more distance from it before you can really bring out what's there, make it shine. It's maybe too subjective for you when you're connected with it. When the lyric and the idea and the inspiration for the song is as close to you as it is, and as important to you as it is, it's hard to be objective about what you're doing as you record and as you mix and as you create the song. That said, the song did stay on the album, and I have always loved the song. I've always cringed just a bit at this version. I cringed when I thought about, well, okay, I'm going to do this episode. I'm going to start out with a cringeworthy song. And maybe you didn't find it so cringeworthy. That's great. I know that me cringing is also a very subjective thing. but I think this version just didn't quite meet what I wanted, what I expected out of the song. Now, the good news is I gave it a second and a third shot. The third shot came on the most recent album, which we'll listen to near the end of the episode. There was an in between middle shot, and we're going to listen to that one too. So we'll get a kind of a nice big long trajectory of this song and its variations. But I want to go ahead and talk about the writing of the song, about what went behind it, what inspired it, and that maybe will add to our understanding of why the stakes were high on this one. And when the stakes are high, I don't know. For me, if the stakes are too high, that tends to make the process, the creative process, not as efficacious, because you're balancing this inner critic of saying, no, that's not good. That's not good enough. That's not, or the inner part of yourself that's saying, no matter what it sounds like, this is such an important song. It's got to be out there, So we'll talk about the song. The song is dedicated to a good friend of mine, a best friend. Kirk Miller was his name, and he and I had been friends from age 2 on, and we were best friends. And in 1992, I believe he was at that point, 27 or 28. I was living at the time in York, Nebraska, which is actually the small town that we grew up in. He was living in Lincoln, about 45 miles away. He had just finished his master's in counseling and was beginning his career as a counselor, and he was and this was a career that I knew. Probably when I looked back at the time, I realized, yeah, this is what he needs to be, because my growing up times, my college years, we were in college together too, were filled with late nights of sitting and having conversations with Kirk, and knowing, like everyone else who knew Kirk had these same memories of sitting and spending late nights talking through things, clarifying things with Kirk. And so he had really found his calling. But the counseling session that he was going to one morning was a few miles away in a little town called Milford, or near there, and he did not have a vehicle yet. He had his bike, and he was the kind of adventurous guy who would just set out on his bicycle, and which he did on a little rural highway, and it was early in the morning, because he left super early to get there in time for the session. And August 19th, I believe. And someone who had just worked a night shift. I don't recall now what he had been doing, but he was headed home after the night shift, the opposite direction on this small highway, and hit Kirk, and because he fell asleep, and Kirk was thrown a long way and came down on the pavement and was presumably dead when he hit. So I got news of this. I was in Iowa, actually, at my wife's family's house. We were there and visiting, and I got a call. The call came from my mother, who had heard about the accident, and she let me know, and this was devastating. And for me, part of the devastation was just before we left on this trip, I had seen Kirk. He had been in York, and I'd actually seen him at church, and he said, "Hey," after the worship service that morning, he said, "Hey, Scott, you want to do some stuff this afternoon? I'm going to be around." And I said, I don't know what I had, but I had something going on. And I said, "Hey, I would love to. I tell you what, let's do it. Let's make it another time. I got a bunch of stuff going on. I'm getting ready for something, and let's get back together and do it when we got a little more time." And so that conversation, and realizing that was the last conversation I had with him. We'll do something when we've got a little more time. And I never did get any more time with Kirk. And so that was what propelled me into the writing of this song, not long after his death, probably that, later that year. The song has some winter imagery, and so I'm thinking it was once things turned cold that year, that same year, 92, was when the song was written. And so it was from the very beginning, a song that came with tears and deep emotion and angst and unresolved pain and a cry for Kirk to be able to hear what I was saying, as we do when we lose people and we write things or say things or pray things or whatever that we want them to hear. We want so badly for them to hear. And we want to see their face as they hear, because we want to make sure that they know how we feel, how we felt about them. And so that's where the song came from. Well, we'll go ahead and take a look at the lyrics, and we'll talk a little more about some of the specifics as we go through the lyrics, and then we'll take a look at how over really 3 decades nearly, the song morphed as I attempted to get it right. So, first verse. I went out walking in my hometown last night. I hadn't done that in quite a long, long time. There was a full moon, and she went behind the clouds and lit the storm front from behind. And I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, the way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time. And then the time ran out on you. So I did spend a good deal of time. I was at the time doing graduate work, also at UNL in Lincoln. So I was driving to Lincoln, and then coming home, and I'd have work to do and things like that. And I was working part-time at a radio station, which meant some late night shifts at the radio station, and so a number of times there were evenings, I recall, when sleep wasn't something that I was going to get much of, but I would go out walking in my little hometown of York, Nebraska, streets where Kirk and I had played. I mean, a memory of something I did with Kirk is like on every corner in that town. And so I'd go out walking, and I was walking at the time when this song came to me. A full moon behind clouds. And I think that said to me something about how there is so much that is there that is obscured, so much that I will never fully see or fully understand. And I think when we lose someone like that we're close to, and we know them so well, we see so much of them so clearly, we suddenly, when we lose them, we realize there's so much I still didn't know about my good friend. So much. He went behind the cloud, and now he's gone. And I'm not going to get to know those things. There are things I know about him and with him that no one else will ever know. And we had a lot of people at the funeral who shared things like that, that they felt like, we had some things that no one else will ever know, But there's also that piece of there are things that I will never get to know. I don't know what Kirk was like in his 30s because he never got to his 30s. I've thought about it over the years. I mean, when I had my children, I never got to know what Kirk would be like as a father. I'm about to have a grandchild, my first grandchild. I don't have any idea what Kirk would have been like as a grandfather. So many things that become obscured. And of course the hook, see you later when we both had the time, and then the time ran out on you. So we go on to the second verse, which is about another friend. I have a friend, he wrote a letter. He had no one to send it to. I wrote a song, but I could sing it so much better if I could sing my song for you. And I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, the way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time, and then the time ran out on you. So I have another friend, another very good friend. His name's Mark. And we were talking about Kirk not long after his death. And Mark had said, and it was, I assume, around the time when this song was taking shape. And Mark said, I had this letter. I wrote this letter. I was writing this letter to Kirk. And I just realized, just saw it the other day. I hadn't quite finished it, but I just saw it. And I realized I've written this letter and I don't have anyone to send it to anymore. Because the person I was writing it for, the stuff that we were talking about, that we were dealing with, that I was answering, the questions I was asking, that person doesn't exist anymore. And then I thought, here I am. I've written this song, and it's a song that I wish I could sing for Kirk. It would be so much better if I could sing it for him and make him know how much this loss of him means to, but I can't, and I won't ever be. Now, maybe in another way, I always have sung it for Kirk, but he's not there. His face is not there to respond. He's not able to say what he thought of the song afterwards. He's not able to smile or laugh or cry or anything else right there in front of me anymore. So then we have a little instrumental section there, and we get to the last verse. At 3 a.m., you never see a soul when the winter is on the ground. The houses are hollow, and the brick streets are so cold. Some nights are lost, never to be found. And I was thinking about the time we said goodbye the way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time, and the time ran out on you. And then the time ran out on you. So I can't tell you how many times I have been on the streets of York, Nebraska, which are, by the way, by and large, brick streets, with Kirk and some others at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Never do anything bad, but we used to go gutter running. The town had a huge system for runoff from the streets, and there were gutters. They were big, and you could in some places actually stand up, but they were at least 4 or 5 feet high everywhere. And we would go in at one place and go through the tunnels under the town, and then come up in a manhole somewhere else. And we used to call that gutter running. But so many experiences at night on those streets, sledding on certain streets, And, of course, in a little town like York, Nebraska, in the Midwest, when the winter's on the ground, you're not going to see many people out at 3 a.m. As I was walking in the cold, feeling the coldness of the town, feeling the coldness of the loss of my friend, feeling the coldness of houses, his old houses, the 2 or 3 that he had at some point lived in, the older houses that I used to live in when we were friends, the places we used to go, all of them cold, dark. And the town of York, for me, is a wonderful place, but it's also a cold and dark place because of that loss and other losses as well. So, and of course the song ends again with this idea of saying goodbye. I'll see you later when we both have the time, and not knowing that there will not be any more time, which is the title of the song and the reason, I think, the reason for the song, the simple, straightforward reason that, we think we have more time. We do not know that. And so it's important. It's important to be right here, right now, with the people you love, as fully as you can be, because you don't have any guarantee that anything else will happen going forward. So that's the original song, and as I said, I was had always been less than pleased with the outcome. Some of it maybe because a couple of friends were less than positive about the outcome, but I think I was already feeling that way myself. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do. When I listened back to it, it didn't strike me the way that I had hoped it would strike. And that's kind of the way it is with anything creative, with anything artistic. You have various drafts. Sometimes you call it done even when it's not done. So fortunately, over the years, I had opportunities to return to this one. One that we're going to listen to now actually comes from 2012's Nebraska Catfish, which was an album I put together very specifically looking back to my years in that hometown of York, Nebraska. And so there are songs on that album which is kind of leans toward jazz. A couple of songs about Kirk, other songs about just living in that small town, songs about growing up and as a student in that small town, and other York, Nebraska sorts of things, including the college that was there that I went to and taught at for some years. But this song got a rebirth of sorts on that album in a very different style. It is not titled Time, and yet the lyrics are the same. There's one line in verse 3: "The houses are hollow and the brick streets are so cold." So when I remade the song for this album, for Nebraska Catfish in 2012, a very different genre, style of music. You'll hear that, and we'll talk about it. But that phrase, "so cold," became the key. It became repeated multiple times in the song, and it became the title as well. So what we'll listen to now is the second iteration of this song, originally named Time. And this time, the title, "So Cold," from 2012's Nebraska Catfish.
So Time
So that was So Cold from 2012's Nebraska Catfish. You can tell the song, it was 12 years later, and I think probably my disappointment in how the song had turned out the first time really propelled me into trying to pull out all the stops and make it do what I wanted it to do from the beginning. And I think it probably came closer. I was more pleased with his version of the song than the first one. And yet at the same time, it seemed a little stretched. As I said earlier, the Nebraska Catfish album leaned heavily into jazz and in some cases, particularly in this case, kind of funk, a real funky beat, a lot of electric guitar, a lot of vocal harmonies that I don't know, that sometimes are working and sometimes aren't. Some very dramatic things. The strings that come in near the end, the bell that keeps chiming throughout large sections of the chorus. All of those things, I think, probably looking back, as I was spending a lot of time immersed in my memories of growing up years in York, Nebraska, in Nebraska in general, time spent with my good friends there, including and especially including Kirk, the loss of those times, the importance of reviving this particular song in a way that communicated more clearly, more urgently, what I felt I wanted to communicate from the beginning, and yet at the same time, perhaps, just raising your voice louder doesn't make you more understandable. If you've ever seen someone when there's a language barrier, whether it's because different people speaking different languages or perhaps just a misunderstanding of raising your voice doesn't necessarily make it clearer, doesn't make it more understandable. That's a little more volume, a little more urgency in the tone, a little more drama doesn't necessarily get the point across better. It maybe gets it across differently, and I'm not unhappy with this version of the song, but it does feel like a different song to me. It doesn't feel like what I set out to do from the beginning. It feels I don't know, maybe compromised is too heavy a word, but it does feel somewhat compromised. The words are still there. The urge to make the most of time is still there, but it also lost something in my attempt to really drive it home. So, an initial one in 2000, a second shot at it in 2012, and of course the third time is the charm. Hopefully, 10 years from now, I'll feel like this third shot at it was the one that really landed home. But we'll listen now to Time. It did go back to the original title, Time, from Ozzie's guitar 20 years later. Once again, I think you'll find something that is distinctly different from both of these earlier versions, but perhaps for me, lands a lot closer to home to what I wanted from the start. So we'll listen to this version from the new album, Ozzie's Guitar, 20 years later. This is Time.
went out walking in my hometown last night. I hadn't done that in quite a long, long time. There was a full moon and she went behind her clouds, bit the storm front from behind. I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, the way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time, yeah, yeah. And then the time ran out on you. Well, time ran out on you, yeah, yeah. Well, I have a friend. He wrote a letter, but now we had no one to send it to. I wrote a song, but I can sing it so much better, my friend, if I could sing my song for you. Yeah, I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, the way most good friends do, yeah, yeah. See you later when we both have the time, yeah. And then the time ran out on you. Time ran out on you. Time ran out. You'll never see a soul when the winter's on the ground, yeah. The houses are hollow and the brick streets are so damn cold. Some nights are lost and never to be found again. I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, oh, the way most good friends do, yeah. See you later when we both have a time. Yeah, yeah, that's what we said now. Yeah, I was thinking about the time we said goodbye, the way most good friends do. See you later when we both have the time. Yeah, yeah. The time ran out on you. Oh, time ran out on you. Oh, time, time.
Well, that is the last and perhaps final iteration of Time. And I think it really does hit home for me, at least right now. In fact, I was telling someone, Heath Johnson asked me just the other day what my favorite song on the new album was, and at the moment I think it is Time, and I think because I've had such a long history with the song meant so much to me at its inception back in 1992. Meant so much to me in 2000 and 2012. I tried and continued to give it energy and attention, and this time it was really reborn in a way that was both, I think, honest and true to the original intent, but also musically stepped beyond what I'd been able to do before. It simplified in ways. It went back. The main instrument in this new version is a nylon stringed 6-string, and it did change time signatures. We've got 6/8 time, which we got a waltz, which did not happen. Was never part of the song. That gives it a dance and a movement and a musicality that is fundamentally different than the earlier two versions, which in some ways musically sounded darker, much darker than this one, and yet this one has the mandolin. It's more upbeat. I did return to the harmonica. We have that harmonica solo during the instrumental section, which felt right, felt like making the most of the thing that did work in that first version, but just didn't have the rest of the song to go along with it. And for me, much of the emotion and urgency of the message is carried a little bit better in the vocals that I did this time, which are better vocals than the first version, more suited to me and to the feel of the song than the second version, than So Cold, and really gives some distance. It doesn't feel like a pain that is fresh and still open. It feels like a pain that has matured, a pain that has found itself in a place of recognizing an incredibly important lesson that we learn from our friends that we lose, that we are bound to learn more than once. Especially at my age, you realize that there are friends I have lost, many more than I had lost back in 1992. And there are friends that I will be losing over the next few years. And so it's an important lesson, I think, to hold close in a different way than that shocking way. The first time that you lose a childhood friend who was so young that you thought of course we'll have all kinds of time left. We'll have all kinds of growing up to do. We'll have all kinds of sharing parent stories, sharing grandparent stories, sharing all kinds of stuff going through the decades, and it doesn't happen. And when you realize that when you're young, it's a real shock. I think at my age now, you say, yeah, that's kind of the way it is. You don't have a guarantee. And so make the most of it right now, right here. And I don't always do that, but I do try to remind myself to do that. So that is Time from Ozzie's Guitar 20 years later. Of course, find all my music, all my lyrics at ScottSimpsonMusic.com. Also stream the new album and both of the other albums. The first album, stream Nebraska Catfish. You can stream all of that on Spotify or on Apple Music, iTunes. Head over to Amazon's. Anywhere you stream music, anywhere you purchase music, you can find all of my music at those outlets. I appreciate you joining me, especially on this little journey that we're in the midst of exploring these songs that had at least two lives. The first life in Ozzie's guitar, and the second life in Ozzie's Guitar 20 years later. And this one had three lives, that one in the middle. It's always fun to look at something that has shifted and changed and had different lives over multiple decades, and to see also what has remained central and true in all three versions. So thank you so much for joining me. Looking forward to seeing you next time on Dancin' Moon Songcast. Be well.